All right, guys, welcome to the show. So we got some interesting stuff here for you today. So Trump is being abandoned by a billionaire Republican who is an absolute stalwart donor to the GOP. So that's really interesting. That is not a good sign for him. I'm curious what will happen with other big money donors as they watch this one flee. Okay, so we'll talk about that in just a minute. We also have the UAW and Shawn Fain. They just won some big contracts from the big three. He was very militant in drawing hard lines, and it turns out that strategy worked to get a good deal. Well, now the organization is happening at an even higher level where a general strike is on the table for 2028. We'll talk about that. Then we also have just amazingly idiotic Republican congresspeople. Wait until you hear the new thing they are calling socialists. And Biden makes a bad move when it comes to student loan debt reduction, narrowing it. And we got much more later on, including the U.S. is working on a nuclear bomb that is 24 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay. Here we go, man. Here we go. Let's dive into it. You know the drill. Everybody, please click subscribe. Trying to continue to grow the channel here, and it helps out massively, and the algorithm doesn't cost you anything. Here we go. So look at this, guys. Billionaire Republican donor abandons the GOP. Quote, Trump belongs in jail. A prize GOP donor wants Donald Trump to serve a term in the big house, not the White House. Hedge fund billionaire investor Leon Cooperman is fearful of the 45th president becoming the 47th president. Quote, it would be terrible for the country if Donald Trump were reelected, Cooperman told CNN in a rare public rebuke by a deep-pocketed Republican donor. He's a divisive human being who belongs in jail. Cooperman expressed frustration over a Biden-Trump rematch in 2024, likening them both to, quote, bad choices. So, guys, this is really interesting because the Republican donors were already sort of waffling on Trump post-January 6th because January 6th was sort of undeniable in terms of how unhinged it was. The fact that they tried to do a fake elector scheme to steal the election for Trump and end the peaceful transfer of power in this country, which is one of our most prized traditions, our most precious traditions. So we're already sort of souring on him. Now this guy, Leon Cooperman, is abandoning him. And understand something, Leon Cooperman is a tried and true, hardcore conservative Republican. And even he says, I can't do it. I just can't do it with Trump anymore. He should not be president. He told CNN that come November, he expects neither Trump, who is the current frontrunner in the race, nor Biden will be their party's nominee. And if they are the only two, he will abstain from voting entirely. Quote, I'm looking for centrists, not radical left or radical right, he said. Federal records show that Cooperman already donated $1,000 to former Governor Chris Christie's 2024 campaign over the summer. Cooperman admitted that he was so anti-Trump back in 2020 that he ended up going for the current president. I voted for Biden very reluctantly, he said in an interview with Patrick Bet-David from last year. That's fascinating, man, because again, Cooperman, you want to talk about like the person leading the class war where he's on team billionaire against working people. I think he's the guy who compared Bernie Sanders to a Nazi. Like, I think he was absolutely apoplectic and furious that Bernie wanted to raise taxes on the wealthy, and he said we're being oppressed like we're Jews in the Holocaust. I mean, again, this guy is nobody's left-winger, not even close. He continued, quote, it was a vote against Trump, to be honest with you. I think the saddest thing for our country, with 330-odd million people, we had these two choices. A Trump spokesman countered Cooperman, offering a statement to the outlet arguing Trump, quote, will be the nominee and will beat Biden because he's the only person who can supercharge the economy, secure our borders, safeguard communities, and put an end to unnecessary... Oh, please. Trump putting an end to unnecessary wars. That is literally the opposite of what Trump does. He stayed in Iraq. He stayed in Afghanistan. He tried to coup Venezuela. He ripped up the Iran agreement. He increased drone strikes by over 400%. He assassinated General Soleimani, who's a top Iranian commander on the field fighting ISIS. And these people still argue, nope, he's anti-war. Quote, Americans want to return to a prosperous nation, and there's only one person who can do that, President Trump. So look, the reason why this is interesting is because there is a little bit of a trend here, right? Now, Sheldon Adelson was the Republican billionaire who backed Trump like no other. I mean, he literally gave over $100 million to Trump's team, and Trump, in return, moved the embassy in Jerusalem. In return, dropped a lot of the corruption charges that were various authorities were investigating Sheldon Adelson. And So he was his puppet, he was his bitch, if we're being totally honest. But to have Leon Cooperman flee, by the way, I didn't know that he actually had fleed him post-2016. So he was with him 2016, but by 2020, he was like, I can't do it. But look, here's the thing. The reason why even many Republican billionaires are souring is because you have to understand the system works for them perfectly. Like, they are the people who benefit most from the status quo, from the extreme income and wealth inequality, from our totally rigged tax system where the wealthy actually pay an effectively lower tax rate than the average working class family. That was after Trump's 2017 tax cuts. We had a report that said that. They benefit the most. And what they're afraid of with a guy like Trump is not like they like the tax cuts and all that stuff, but they fear he will actually destroy our institutions. And they're fans of our institutions because those institutions exist and help a country function, which exists for the benefit of them. So they turned on him. It's really interesting that in 2020 they voted for Biden as just an anti-Trump vote. Leon Cooperman did. And look, that also says quite a bit about Biden, doesn't it? That, like, they thought, hey, he's centrist enough where I'm comfortable doing it. But I don't know, man. We're in a place where Trump is still strong despite things like this happening. And that's a terrifying sign. Because even if you have a guy like Leon Cooperman jump in to try to help Biden in 2024, if it comes down to just Biden and Trump in the general election, even if you have that, is it going to be enough to get Biden over the finish line? Trump is a weak candidate with 91 criminal charges. He's got all these problems. He's been an electoral liability ever since 2016. He helped that year. Every year after that, he's been disastrous for the Republicans. But now you got Biden, too, who's struggling, man. Not just the being old thing, but now you have the war in Gaza and a lot of the blame's being pinned on him. And he dropped 11 points with Democrats in a short time frame. So, funny enough, I'll end this segment by agreeing that this guy's like, really? In a country of 330 million people, the best we got is Trump and Biden? And I sort of feel exactly the same as him. The difference is, this guy ideally would like a candidate like Joe Manchin to be president. Whereas I think Joe Manchin is part of the exact same problem that gives us Trump and Biden. Just, people who are beholden to the establishment in a way that is entirely predictable and disgusting. So, but look, this is now one of, we've done what, 2-3 other stories of these Republican billionaires fleeing him. Is it going to matter? That's the question. Is it going to matter that these billionaire Republican donors flee him? Because it's almost like the cat's out of the bag, it seems like, right? And nothing can take Trump down unless he is behind bars, which is a real possibility. But yet another one is running for the hills, and let's hope the rest of them do too. And let's also hope it actually matters. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.